This is Clem with Clem's Organic Gardens in Brevard, North Carolina. Today is October 22nd, 2018, and I want to demonstrate the method I've been using to harvest potatoes using an undercutter rather than like a potato plow or a middle buster. So these are my potatoes over here. These are hilled rows of potatoes. The plants have died back. As you can see, these are the old potato plants. There's a few weeds growing up, but not too many, which is good. These potatoes I actually planted in July. These are my late planting potatoes, which, as a side note, worked out fairly well. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to undercut those rows with my undercutter, which I will show you. So this is an implement. They're not super common, but a lot of small farms have them. I bought this one used from another farm, and they're good for, usually used for like root crops. Like I use them to dig carrots, parsnips. They can be used to undercut a row of a bed of plastic mulch. But I find this is working pretty well with the potatoes. So basically, this bar just goes under the ground and cuts underneath whatever you're trying to undercut. So, and what the effect that has, I'll show a row that we've already done. So right here, I find the problem with what a lot of people use is what I call a potato plow. Some people call it a middle buster. It's just this kind of, plow that throws soil either way. It kind of gets under the row and tosses it. I've had trouble using that it moves the potatoes so much that it can have trouble finding them. What's nice about this is it doesn't do that as much. So all the potatoes that are in that row should be, kind of right where they started out. You shouldn't have to dig around too much on the sides so much, because you can see this row's been undercut already. There's some potatoes have been lifted up out of the ground, but the soil hasn't been stirred around too much, so all the potatoes should be right there, and it can be easier and quicker, I've found, to dig them up if you're doing this by hand with just a little bit of mechanical tractor help. And so yeah, I'm going to get on the tractor and demonstrate. I'm going to do these next two rows, undercut them to show what this thing does. So there you can see how it didn't throw the soil around too much, just kind of loosened it up, so it's really easy to get in there and find those potatoes right where they're lying. And so the way we do it is we put them into buckets and then put them into a bin for storage. That's a 55 horsepower tractor. You need one probably about that size to use a undercutter bar that's big. It can have trouble. Potatoes are pretty easy. You don't have to dig too deep with them. At least the way I plant my potatoes, they're not very deep. When you get into like parsnips especially, it can be a challenge to get down deep enough. But yeah, I find this effective. I think I like it more than using the kind of standard potato plow.